Two former Quapaw tribal leaders are indicted on several charges, including embezzlement.
Closing arguments are wrapping up in the Derek Chauvin trial. I'm Michael George in Minneapolis with the latest from inside court and the unprecedented security in anticipation of the verdict.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Two former Quapaw Nation tribal leaders are indicted for embezzlement, conspiracy, and several other charges. This is KOAM News at 5. KOAM's Chris Warner joins us now with more.
Well, the Quapaw Nation indicted former Chairman John Berry and former Secretary Treasurer Tamara Smiley Reeves, who are now facing a total of 18 indictments. The alleged offenses occurred between April 2014 and July of 2020. Now, under the Tribal Criminal Code, the Quapaw Tribal Court indicted John Berry for embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 4 counts of abuse of office, offense by officers, improper gifts to tribal officials or employees, and theft of services. Tamara Smiley Reeves is facing 8 indictments, including embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 2 counts of abuse of office, and 2 counts of offense by officers. The indictments come after the Quapaw Nation Gaming Authority requested innovative gaming solutions to conduct an audit last year. They received allegations of improper bonuses paid to tribal leaders and casino executives. According to court documents, the audit was delayed due to the election and was continued afterwards. The court documents go on to say the auditors found salaries and bonuses in the millions without approval from the Quapaw Business Committee. We'll have more on the court documents as well as responses from the Quapaw tribe and the attorney for John Berry tonight at 6. Reporting live in Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
All right, Chris, we'll see you at 6. Checking in with Doug Hetty now for our first look at the weather. I guess we have some changes ahead of us, Doug.
Yeah, most of us are sitting into the 70s right now, and believe it or not, we have a winter weather advisory in effect for late tonight into tomorrow morning. This is going to be mainly the northern half of the region, so let's say from Fredonia, Neodesha, Parsons, Pittsburgh, Lamar, points northward, and this is for snow. That is going to roll in late tonight into tomorrow morning. As of right now, we're fine. We have clear skies, we're warm, but look at the rain, look at the snow building back across parts of Iowa and then stretching into Nebraska. And our cold front is now in our northern counties. Still in Joplin, it's 70 degrees, but look at Kansas City, 51. The North Platte, Nebraska, you got 35 degrees. So at least for the evening hours, we look pretty good, but this cold front is very strong. So Dow, this is really going to change our weather up as we head into the next few days. Plus, we're going to have a very hard freeze. So I'm going to give you all the details here in just a bit.
Not good news, Doug. Thanks. Newton County's Second Amendment Preservation Act, which passed in February, is now getting some national attention. A website called Defy Tyrants interviewed County Commissioner David Osborne about the ordinance and posted the video on YouTube last week. The act is intended to provide for protections against all federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations that infringe on Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms. The act also provides for the Newton County Sheriff's Office to arrest any federal agents trying to violate the ordinance.
It's that extra layer of protection to slow down the federal government and federal overreach, to start the conversation legally with us to say, why would you want to violate Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens?
Missouri House passed a similar act in February. It's currently in the Missouri Senate. President Biden today met again with lawmakers at the White House to push for his more than $2 trillion infrastructure proposal. This time, the focus is on members of Congress who formerly served as mayors or governors. The Vice President, Kamala Harris, also argued the plan would create the jobs of the future. A group of Senate Republicans say they're working to put forward an alternative proposal at a price tag of around 1/3 the size of the president's proposal. The prosecution and defense laid out their closing arguments today in the Derek Chauvin murder trial. Reporter Michael George has the latest from Minneapolis.
The defendant was on top of him for 9 minutes and 29 seconds.
The prosecution implored the jury to find Derek Chauvin guilty.
Use your common sense. Use your common sense. Believe your eyes. What you saw, you saw.
In a lengthy closing argument, the state said the former Minneapolis police officer chose pride over policing when he pinned George Floyd down last May.
The kind of ego-based pride but the defendant was not going to be told what to do. I submit to you that the state has failed to meet its burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
The defense argues Floyd died of underlying heart disease and drug use, and said Chauvin's actions, in context, were reasonable.
The 9 minutes and 29 seconds ignores the previous 16 minutes and 59 seconds. A reasonable police officer would, in fact, take into consideration the previous 16 minutes and 59 seconds.
Minneapolis is holding its breath. 3,000 National Guard troops are stationed throughout the city, and already tensions are inflamed after the death of 20-year-old Dante Wright at the hands of police in a nearby suburb just last week. Outside the courthouse, the Floyd family joined activists in a prayer vigil.
So many people stepped up in this city, standing up for George, standing up for what's right.
Chauvin faces charges of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. He took off his mask during closing arguments for only the second time during the trial. Michael George, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Chauvin faces up to 40 years in prison if convicted of the most serious charge. Still ahead, another economic impact of the pandemic.
Lumber has been a hot commodity during the pandemic, and prices continue to rise. I'm Fami Redwood with a look at how the high demand is affecting the cost of a new home.
And next in Health Watch, some COVID-19 long haulers discuss the long-term issues stemming from the disease. Starting today, all Americans aged 16 and older are eligible for the coronavirus vaccine. To date, more than 131 million Americans have gotten at least one dose. That's more than half of all adults in the country. A CDC advisory committee will meet Friday to discuss the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and make a decision on its future use. Also, the CDC issued a do not travel advisory for India as it deals with a double mutant variant now found in at least 14 states in the U.S. It's estimated millions of COVID patients battle lasting and debilitating health issues months, even a year after having the coronavirus. Now, some of these so-called long haulers report relief of their symptoms after receiving the COVID vaccine. CBS News senior medical correspondent Dr. Tara Narula spoke with two patients who are feeling better than they have in a long time.
Kimberly Wills Rinaldi says she hasn't been the same since she was diagnosed with COVID last March. The 58-year-old long hauler suffered from serious lingering health issues until she received her first COVID vaccine shot last month.
For me, this is a miracle. The viral conjunctivitis, specifically in my right eye, is gone. The rash that was on my back and on my arms and my neck, that's gone. The extreme fatigue episodes, those have gotten better too.
The group's Survivor Corps polled 962 long haulers and found 46% said they remained the same after the vaccine, 14% felt worse, while 39% improved after the shot, from mild to full resolution of symptoms.
It wasn't something I had expected to see.
The poll caught the attention of Akiko Iwasaki, an immunobiologist at Yale School of Medicine. She's launching a study on people with long COVID, collecting blood and saliva samples to compare immune responses before and after long haulers get the vaccine to understand if it really helps. One long COVID theory is that pieces of the virus may hide in the body.
The vaccine induces robust antibody and T cell responses that can clear the viral reservoir or remnants that's causing the inflammation, and that would be a permanent solution to long COVID.
Another theory, long COVID is driven by a hyperactive autoimmune response, and the vaccine may reduce those responses. Judy Dodd suffered dizziness, headaches, and exhaustion for more than a year after she got COVID.
A few weeks after I got the second vaccine, I was like in my living room, like dancing or something, and my partner was like, I don't think I've seen you dance in a year. I forgot what it was like to wake up in the morning and feel good.
Yale hopes to enroll at least 100 people with long COVID in its study to understand these phenomena and to see if the relief will last. Dr. Tara Narula, CBS News, New York.
Yale researchers say the findings of their study could help in other diseases that may be triggered by a virus such as chronic fatigue syndrome. Fit matters more than layers when it comes to double masking. Researchers found that wearing 2 face coverings can nearly double protection against COVID-19 because wearing 2 masks eliminates gaps around the face. Getting more physical activity may help patients with heart conditions avoid heart attacks and strokes. The new large-scale study out of the Netherlands found people with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes were about 30% less likely to develop cardiovascular disease if they increased their levels of movement. The changes also decreased the likelihood of death. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the IRS lays out a timeline for families to receive the child tax credits as part of the latest stimulus bill.
Plus, much colder temperatures working in for us tonight. Also, some snow. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, it's turned out to be a nice Monday for us today. Much warmer than what we have seen over the past couple days, as most of us have gone into lower 70s for highs. So actually right now, most of us are about 10, if not 12 degrees warmer than what we saw at this time yesterday. But you can see the cold front rolling in where those temperatures are starting to drop in our northern counties. But most of us have a southwesterly wind, 71 at Grand Lake, 71 in Oswego. We have 69 in Anderson, 67 in Nevada. But where the front is working through, really from Neodesha over toward Fort Scott, that's where we are seeing those temperatures starting to drop into the upper 50s to near 60 in our northern counties, and everybody's going to drop for us tonight. Look at the cold air to our north. Kansas City 51, 33 in Lincoln, then you have 34 in Goodland. Des Moines is sitting at 41 degrees. Not Arctic air, but very cold Canadian air, especially for this time of the year. Looks good outside. Currently, we are sitting at about 70. West, southwesterly winds. Humidity is pretty low at about 30%. As we go through the evening hours, we'll slide back through the 60s, 50s, quick drop once that front rolls through into the 40s and eventually down into the mid-30s by the time the morning hours roll around. So a lot of advisories in effect. Northern counties, mainly Lamar, Pittsburgh, Parsons, Fredonia, northward. This is a winter weather advisory. This is for late tonight and tomorrow morning with snow. Then right behind it, tomorrow night, we have freeze warnings, we have frost warnings. This is going to be a very hard freeze, which we do not like to see this time of the year, this late into the spring season. Clear skies right now, we look fine, but you can see the clouds increasing up to our north. Underneath those clouds, the snow across parts of Nebraska and then stretching into Iowa, and it's that system that is heading toward us, and the jet stream dips all the way down into the southern plains, so that cold Canadian air is diving south. Let's go through time. The evening hours are going to be fine. Clouds will start to increase here shortly after midnight. Let's go into the early morning hours. Everybody's got clouds. Everybody's sitting into the 30s at this time. Look at the snow building in. Yates Center, Parsons, Nevada. Let's go through the morning hours. This is a quick band, but it's really going to come down. Very heavy, wet snow. Most of us are going to be sitting just above freezing, and I really think most of it's going to melt on impact, but we are going to get some bands where it's going to come down hard enough that it will accumulate and then melt, but accumulate, so we could get some slushy spots on the roadways. By the afternoon, most of this is gone, but it's going to be a cold, chilly day, starting at 36, 33 by noon, high temp of only 41. Then tomorrow night, we clear out. Look at our temps, down into the mid-20s, which is a very hard freeze for this time of the year. All right, because the snow is going to be melting pretty much on impact, again, in those heavier bands, we will briefly get accumulations, I think an inch or less, most of us a little bit less, northeastern parts of Oklahoma. If it comes down hard enough, there could be some areas that get maybe a quick 2 inches and then it melts. So we're going to watch this. A freeze tomorrow night, but at least we don't have to deal with severe weather until next Tuesday. That's when severe weather will arrive once again. 41 tomorrow, 26 tomorrow night, only 54 on Wednesday.
Yeah, that freeze is going to be a problem possibly for those young, tender plants out there.
Yeah, the freeze is going to be a bigger problem than the snow.
Thanks, Doc. Hey, don't forget, you can be the first to know about today's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone, free of charge. Apple App Store, Google Play Store, KOAM Skywatch weather app. Coming up, because of a spike in demand for lumber, some people are still struggling to find it and paying a lot. But first, We honor a local veteran. Henry Martin Sr. served in the U.S. Army in 1918 and 1919. His hometown, Webb City, Missouri, and we salute Private Henry Martin Sr., our four-state hero. Families eligible for the child tax credit are on track to get their checks this summer. Last month, the head of the IRS warned lawmakers that the checks may face delays as the agency works on the current tax filing season. The tax credit is part of President Biden's coronavirus relief plan aimed at boosting children out of poverty. A federal safety agency is telling some consumers to stop using Peloton's treadmill. The announcement comes after more than 36 incidents of small children and one pet being injured. Peloton announced last month that a child died due to an accident with its Tread Plus. The company says there is no reason to stop using its treadmill, and in an email to users, its CEO said a safety update is on the way to prevent the machine from running on without an access code. The pandemic caused shortages for everything from appliances to toilet paper. While supplies have returned to closer to normal for most products, one item remains elusive. Amy Redwood reports.
Construction company owner Ray Perkins has plenty of business, but rising lumber prices keep cutting into his bottom line.
Normally they're $349 a 2x4, now they're like $649, $650.
Hardwood, lumber, 2x4s.
Interior designer Heather Kirk says that's boosting her clients' project costs.
We've gotten examples of anywhere from double to 3 times what those materials were costing previously.
The high prices are from a global lumber shortage and a huge boost in home improvement projects when the pandemic forced people to stay home. And the high demand continues to build into 2021 with the ramping up of major construction. The National Association of Home Builders says wood costs are adding $24,000 to the price of a new home.
There's not a lot of industries that can absorb a 60-70% increase in its demand without having supply issues.
Steve Sala is president of lumber buying cooperative LBM Advantage. He believes building will slow down a little in the coming months, and Americans will shift spending from home improvements to travel and entertainment as infections drop.
I think prices will ease a little bit in the summer. The average lumber historically has been between $300 and $400 per thousand board feet. Right now it's over $1,000. I see it in the $700-800 range by summer.
But he doesn't think lumber costs will return to normal levels until the middle of next year. Amy Redwood, CBS News, New York.
As more Americans emerge from their stay-at-home sweatpants, sales of denim are on the rise too. Levi's alone projects a potential increase of up to 25% of the wardrobe for the first half of this year. No need to be skinny jeans ready. Both Levi's and American Eagle Outfitters say looser fitting denim like relaxed jeans are in demand and in vogue for this year. Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on indictments against 2 former Quapaw tribal officials. Plus, former Kansas Governor Jeff Collier announces his gubernatorial bid for 2022. And Oklahoma City officials hold a ceremony to honor the victims of the Murrah building bombing 26 years ago. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Some changes coming in the weather, Doug Hetty.
Yeah, so far, right now it's pretty nice outside. Temperatures are near 70 degrees, but a cold front is working into our northern counties. We'll push all the way through over the next 4 or 5 hours, and then everybody's going to drop back into the 30s. Clouds are going to increase, and then we're going to have a burst of snow mixed in with a little bit of rain, mainly during the morning hours. A lot of this is going to melt on impact, and then once this system clears out, we plunge to 26 degrees tomorrow night.
Not good news for April. Thanks, Doug, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you at 6. Let's take care of ourselves and each other.